We're going to keep it pretty simple today. These are concealer and foundation mistakes you need to avoid. So we're going to get started with a clean base. I obviously already have some eye makeup done, my brows are done, I have a little bit of lip liner on, and nothing on my skin. I just want to repeat that, nothing on my skin other than moisturizer and primer. Nothing tinted whatsoever. I'm saying this because the other day I saw a couple of comments. Someone was like, she's wearing foundation. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know you were sitting next to me when I did this. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, if I say I haven't got something on, it's because I don't have something on. Like, clearly you can see these under eye circles. Literally there is nothing I can do to make them feel better other than put concealer on, which is what I'm about to show you. So anyway, quick rant over, let's get on with this. So I'm gonna do the right side on one side and then the wrong side on one side. So I'm gonna show you the wrong way and then I'm gonna show you how you should be applying it. So we're gonna be using my Tarte Shape Concealer, and I am going to be showing you how to apply that, and I'm also going to be using my NARS Light Reflecting Foundation because I'm currently loving it at the moment. I just go through these phases with different concealers and foundations, mainly foundations. As I said, we have moisturizer on, we have a little bit of primer on. I'm going to go straight in now with my concealer first because I want to show you the wrong way of kind of applying your concealer first and then applying your foundation. You can do either way, by the way. You can apply your concealer first and then your foundation, or your foundation first and then your concealer. It's up to you which way around you want to do it. There is a specific technique for each, but this one today that I'm going to show you is the mistakes you make when you apply your concealer first, because some people don't seem to know how to apply it first. So this is also going to help those of you who want to know how to underpaint, like how you do apply it before foundation. So I'm going to go ahead with my Tarte Shape Concealer. Now I'm going to be applying this in the wrong way. This is a mistake when people do it this way. I actually feel like it's going to take me forever to take this off my skin as well. Oh my God, so much concealer. And I've seen people do this. I feel like even though I'm doing this as a mistake, I'm still trying to make it as neat as possible, which is really bad. I could go all out and make it ridiculously wrong, but I'm a bit of a, you know, a bit of a freak when it comes to getting all the lines perfect. A bit of a perfectionist, basically. So anyway, this is wrong. There are so many things wrong with this. Let me just explain what is wrong. You have applied it so close to your lower lash line. You should not be applying it that close to your lower lash line. That is going to make your entire face look like it's very mask-like. It's just going to look so obvious and fake on the under eye area. You have to let some of your natural skin show on your lower lash line. Otherwise, it's just going to look bad, and you're going to see exactly what I mean. We're going to go ahead and apply this on the other side, and this is the way that you should apply it. Can you see there's a huge difference? One, we haven't applied it all the way across everything on our under eyes. We've applied it on the under eye here, and we've gone kind of like similar direction. So we've still got it going upwards like we do here, but we've left a gap. You need to allow room for blending. What you need to understand is when you first apply a product, it is fine. It's in that little shape that you've done it. But the minute you start blending, it's gonna get bigger. It's gonna spread. Everything's gonna expand. You've gotta be ready for that. So in order to be ready for that, you've gotta leave room around where you've applied it in order for it to expand. Because if you apply it everywhere that you feel that you need it, then you start blending, it's expanding even more and more. And before you know it, you're going onto other areas of the face that you didn't even need to go onto. Let's now blend this in, and I am gonna show you what this looks like. It's too much. It's just too much. Firstly, it's hard to even blend on the under eye area. Here, you're gonna see we are still gonna end up covering the dark circle, but it's not gonna look so mask-like. There you go. I mean, here it's just going really high up and it's just really obvious and it's just too much. So, and you can see here, we've still covered the under eye. We've applied so much less than this eye, but it's still like covered up that dark circle. Another thing that I see people doing wrong, it's just too much. It's just too much, is they do this whole area, which is right, because it really does help to kind of like shape the face a lot. But what they do, yes, people do this. And let me show you how you should be doing it. I'm going to explain what it does. That's it. That's all you're going to do there. Because what's happening is here, I know what you're trying to do, right? Because this is a very old school way of doing it, but it is too much. There's too much products. You're probably in the right direction, but there's too much product and you've covered up too much of the face. So here, what's happening, let me just get my brush so I can also blend this to show you, is you have applied it. Basically, you might as well have just applied a foundation. You've applied it everywhere, right? So we've blended that in, and yes, it looks flawless, but it's also way too much. And obviously, if you were face to face, you'd be able to see just how cakey it is compared to like being on camera. Here, we've applied it under the lower lash, like lip line. We've taken it in the same direction, but it's not covering the entire area. There's so much makeup here, and I haven't even applied foundation yet. So moving on, let's now apply some kind of contour, because I feel like that comes as part of the kind of concealer and foundation part. I use a concealer for this, and obviously this is going to be wrong where I'm going to be applying it. Another mistake I see, which I haven't, obviously I've applied a concealer which is quite close to my skin color, but I see a mistake where some people, they apply a concealer which is way too light for them. It's just way too light. Like, it's so white that it just looks like, even when you apply a warmer shade foundation on top, because you've applied such a light color concealer, it can still end up not being able to like tone it down enough. So I feel like you're better off, if you're not used to this kind of stuff, you're better off going for a concealer which is very close to your skin color, or tiny bit lighter than your skin tone. That is it. Honestly, you don't need to go full force and go 5 shades lighter. It's way too much. I'm also going to show you with a concealer how people contour and how it is done in the wrong way. So I'm using my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer. I know we're talking about concealer and foundation mistakes, but this kind of comes into it because a lot of people do use concealer as contour, which is fine. That's fine, you can do that. I love it personally. So you're on the right track, but the application can sometimes be wrong. So this is another mistake that you're making, is you're applying, firstly it's in the wrong position, but you're applying way too much. I mean, firstly, it's in the wrong position, like I said, but also it's so thick, and also it's going in the wrong direction. Let me apply it where it should be and how much you need to apply. You really do not need a lot. That is it. That is literally it. Let me get another brush and let's just sort this out, shall we? So this is what happens when you blend this. It's just too much, and it's in the wrong place. See that? It's just, that's not where your cheekbone is. It shouldn't go like that. You need to think about where you're applying things. You need to think about how, like, am I actually outlining the natural like structure of my face? You're not with this. You're just kind of like applying it and it's just straight and it's just wrong. Now here, I need to take off what was already on here, by the way, because otherwise I'm just like blending it all in. So here, we've applied a much smaller amount, not a lot. We're not going all the way in. It's actually a little bit higher. It's from the top part of the ear, and we're focusing on going towards the upper lip, but we're never quite getting there. We're kind of stopping halfway, so it kind of naturally fades in. Can you see that we've got more of an effective finish here than we have here, yet we applied more product here? Just a little tip for you there. Okay, so now we're gonna move on to foundation, and this is where a lot of people do this wrong. So you've applied concealer, you've applied a bit of contour, right? And then what you've done is you're gonna go over with foundation. This is what is so wrong. If you are underpainting and you have applied concealer before your foundation, which that is what underpainting is, by the way, if you didn't know. Underpainting is when you apply your concealer before your foundation. I'm leaving out blush and bronzer and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to overwhelm you with all of that, and there's a lot more to underpainting, but the main thing is using your concealer before foundation. This is where people go wrong. They apply their concealer first, then they've got their foundation. They apply this foundation on top of the concealer with a brush. So wrong. All of a sudden, and also you really don't need this much. Like, there was literally no point in applying the concealer first. Like that is wrong. There's way too much product there. You didn't need to actually use a brush. If you used a sponge, you could have actually kept everything in its place and just kind of added a veil of color on top. So I feel like that's a big mistake that people make. I'm just cleaning my brush because there's like a ridiculous amount of foundation on here now. This is where people go wrong, because what they end up doing is they go in with so much product. They also end up kind of like just mixing everything that they did underneath, and then before you know it, they're like, well, that doesn't work for me, or that's too heavy for me, or I've tried it and it just doesn't work. This is why, because you're not thinking about how you're applying it and what consequences there are to applying it with certain tools. Now I'm going to go in with one pump on the back of my hand with the same foundation. I'm now going to get my beauty blender. I'm going to take a little bit of that foundation, drag it, and buff it into this sponge. Prime the sponge so that you're just left with a little kind of blur on your hand. There's not a lot of product there. There's not a lot of product on the sponge, so you're not going to get a whole dollop of makeup on your skin. You're then gonna very lightly bounce onto the skin. So can you see like the difference compared to like what we were doing on this side? We're actually, and each time if you need more, keep priming the sponge before you put it in. This time we are making sure that everything that we have done underneath is staying where it should be. So like we're making sure that it's not moving around, so you can still see that contour that's coming through, right? Because we're not actually applying a lot of product either. So there you go. That is literally it. That is literally it. Like you don't need to apply a lot. So as you can see on this side, you can still see the contour that's coming through, which is great because that means that we don't actually have to contour after, because we've already done it underneath and it gives it this really nice soft focus effect. Hopefully you'll be able to tell, I haven't even applied powder on yet, but hopefully you can see that this is way less shiny and cakey than this side. This side is ultra shiny and it's super shiny because we have so much product there. This side, however, is actually not that shiny and there's less product there. I've only got what I need. It's still giving me a flawless finish. My under eye doesn't look super white and cakey. This is a common mistake that people make with concealer as well. When you go so high up on your lower lash line, that's another reason you are developing so many creases. Because one, you've applied way too much concealer there. Two, you've gone way too high. These are all things that could work, like could still be a mistake even if you do them separately. So too much concealer, even if you don't apply it all the way up there, that could be a mistake in itself. Then you've applied the right amount of concealer, but you've taken it too far up. That's a mistake in itself there. So there are so many different kind of things to this that you need to think about. Like it's not just a case of just changing one thing. You have to keep doing it and seeing where you're going wrong. But the biggest issue that I see people, like the mistake that I see people making when it comes to under eye creasing is their concealer. So we all have creasing, by the way. We all have fine lines. It's totally normal to have those there. It's not, you shouldn't be looking about how to try and get rid of the fine lines, because that's not going to happen. You're human. It's normal. You're going to get it. It would just be weird if you didn't have it, right? You need to think about how you're applying your product. This here, I can already see it's so white underneath here, like there's just too much product there. Here, I can see my natural lines, but there's not a lot of makeup that's sitting in there. Let's move into actually setting this now so you can really see as well how it sets. So I've got my powder puff here, which is my Laura Mercier one. I'm using a new powder, which I've been using for a couple of days, and it's actually quite good, I think. This is the Laura Mercier translucent powder, but it's the ultra blurring one. I don't know what that means, as in, obviously it's ultra blurring, but I guess I need to use it a bit more to really see how I'm feeling about it. I need to leave it on all day, if that makes sense. So I'm just kind of pressing this powder in. I've put a lot of powder on this. Another mistake. We've got the foundation there, the concealer there, right? All the mistakes that we've made. Now, this is a mistake. Let me explain to you why, which, do I even need to explain it? Do I even need to tell you why? Isn't it like really obvious with how much powder's flying around? This is way too much. Secondly, you have not got rid of creasing before you've applied the powder. Like I said, it's normal to have creasing, but when you apply concealer and foundation, especially when you apply so much here and you've applied it so close to your under eye there, you are naturally going to get that concealer and foundation settling into your lines, which are normal. Your lines are normal, but it's going to settle into that. And then what you've done is it's settled into it, and then on top of that you've gone on with powder, and all that's done is just basically set those creases. So now you have basically said, yep, I want to keep these creases that that are really obvious now, and I just want to show the world, what these creases look like. That's what you've done. What you need to do is get rid of the creasing, and I'm going to show you on this side in a second, but we're going to leave this because this in itself is a mistake, leaving it for that long. You really don't need to leave it there for that long. But let's move on to the other side while we're letting this bake. So I'm going to get my sponge. I've got the tip of it. I'm going to get rid of any creasing. This is what you should have done. There's nothing on the sponge other than whatever was already on it, but I got rid of that with a tissue. And we're just picking up any excess product, anything that doesn't really need to be there. Then we're going to get the sponge. We're going to go into the powder. We're going to prime it in the palm of our hand. So we're just basically really pushing that powder into the sponge. Now, we're going to press. Look at the difference compared to when I applied it there to this, right? Now what we're going to do, we don't even need to leave it on that long. Honestly, you don't even need to, literally 5 seconds at the most. You're going to get a brush. I'm using the Real Technique setting brush. Nothing on the brush, and you're just going to dust this off. Skim over the skin very lightly so that you're just naturally wiping away any of that powder, and actually whatever's left on the brush you could take onto other areas if you want to. That is the correct way of doing it. Now here what's happened is we've let it sit there because people think you need to leave the powder on for ages for it to set for ages. Honestly, it just looks so cakey and so bad when you do this. What we're going to do is we're going to get a brush, and we're just going to, I see people just using any size brush and just getting rid of it. Firstly, we've pressed really hard when we did that. Can you see how we were really like that, whereas the other side we were just skimming it? Okay, hopefully you can see the difference on camera. It's very difficult to see it on camera compared to like face to face. There is way too much makeup on this side. It's also way too kind of crepey on my under eye area. And when I smile, there are creases here. Oh, I really want you to zoom in on this. There are creases right there, which are normal because I have creases. It's normal to have creases, right? But I have these creases on this side too. But look at the difference. If we zoom right in, you can see, hopefully, right? You can see that these lines here are really obvious in comparison to this side. I really hope you saw that. But anyway, I just wanted, it's really like obvious to me, and it's something which honestly, if you follow the right side, you're gonna see there's a huge difference. So really that is kind of it. I just wanted to give you a real easy breakdown, like show you what the mistakes are for foundation and concealer and show you how to actually do it the right way. And hopefully that's gonna help you in some way. So if you have any questions, please do let me know. Don't forget that I do have an online publication, which is called the Beauty Breakfast Club, and it's really exciting. It's a beauty community, which I'm really excited to have you guys be a part of. There are so many kind of like reviews and everything on there. I write all the newsletters myself. There are 2 options of subscription. One is free, which gives you access to most of the site. The other is paid, which basically is the equivalent of getting yourself a coffee a month. And it would really, really help me to be able to reinvest back into my business, because obviously everything I give you is free on YouTube, but it's where I will give you reviews, the best products. We've got like, it's really cute. We've got like the beauty breakfast table where we chat about things, and the paid version basically also gives you access, like I said, if I didn't say it already, access to the whole site, a chat room where we can chat, extra perks, extra newsletters every week too. So I'd love to see you over there. I also do have another YouTube channel, which is my podcast channel, which I host with my husband. Really fun. I think you're going to enjoy it, and very real and authentic. Don't forget to check in my description. All the discount codes are there, so make sure you check it so you can make the most out of them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button so that you never miss any of my future videos. Until the next video, take care, and I'll see you soon.